Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Saturday, everyone. Time for a short Saturday episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So came in today at about 9 and pretty much focused on the VWHALEN red cowlick Beetle here, although I did take an hour lunch to have with my son. But let's see what happened here. So first and foremost, I went and reinstalled the newly adjusted or fixed, I suppose I should say, Berg shifter. Again, the shifter had essentially like a defect in it. I guess we'll say maybe like a manufacturing defect. And they fixed it for me the other day while I waited, put it in. It feels great now. I didn't take the car out for a drive, but I went through all 4 gears and reverse just here in the shop. And it feels like it's going in really good. So I'll put some miles on it before I send the car on its way. But yeah, sometimes defects happen, and this was one of those cases, which I think is probably exceedingly rare with these Berg shifters. These things are legendary for a reason. Anyway, so I did that first and then decided to go ahead and tackle his amplifier. So if you've been watching the channel, you might know that this car has a RetroSound radio in it, which we love these, by the way, because they look right at home in these cars. But usually when I put they have different levels of them that have different amounts of power and stuff like that. They all kind of have the same like Bluetooth and stuff like that. But anyway, I usually just put in the least expensive one, which I think has a little bit less power than the sort of middle or higher tier one. But and for most people it's enough. But again, this guy loves his tunes so much that, you know, we work some Van Halen into the car. If you're new here, I'll show you just because it's so much fun. And of course the wiring cover, which is sitting right here at the moment. Anyway, this guy loves his tunes. He loves classic rock, loves Van Halen, loves cranking it up, and he loves driving his beautiful cowlick Beetle with the very cool 80s aftermarket ragtop pulled back. So, and the motor for a hot rod motor, it's not too terribly loud. The dual quiet packs are actually not too bad, but you know, there's still exhaust sound, there's intake sound from the dual IDFs, there's sound from having the top open, probably more when he pops these open and getting all that airflow through there. Anyway, and he likes his tunes. So the radio itself, the head unit, was not really sufficient for his desired level of volume and so on. So talked to the guys at RetroSound, and they suggested, rather than upgrading his head unit, that the best solution, or a better solution, was to go ahead and put in an amplifier. So that's what I did today. So we got this puppy in. I mean, it doesn't have huge numbers. I think it's maybe like 45 watts RMS per channel. So on paper, it doesn't really sound like a lot, but apparently they claim that's like true versus, you know, like a lot of places you see amplifiers this size and they claim they have like thousands of watts or whatever. They don't. So, but apparently these guys' numbers are real. And anytime you have, you know, wattage coming out of an amplifier versus what comes out of a head unit, even if the watts look the same, I think the quality of the sound and stuff coming out of an amplifier is just a lot better, a lot cleaner, allows you to, you know, ultimately get more volume out of it. So anyhow, went ahead and installed that. And the nice thing about this is, for any of you that have RetroSound radios that are looking for a little upgrade, it's pretty small, so you can see my hand in here kind of for reference. The other is that it has pretty much all the connectors on it, where you just pretty much put it in line between the stereo and the stuff that the stereo connects to. So there's no real wiring on that end at all. The only real wiring on the stereo are these two here, which are, the black one is of course ground, which you need a good ground. I put a ground here to the chassis. And then the other is 12 volts power. It's got an inline fuse. And this one I went ahead and ran, let's see here. We poked a little hole in the body, you can see right there. and put a grommet in it, of course, because that's how we roll around here, doing clean installs on everything. And then from there, it pretty much inside the car, you're not really going to be able to see it. I still need to get in here and vacuum, but anyway, it just disappears into the carpet in there and then runs all the way back. The only place you could really see it if you were looking is right there, where I put some heat shrink over it to hide the fact that it's bright yellow, where it kind of goes over part of the seat support. And then again, after that, back here somewhere, it disappears under the carpet and then it comes back out there. So this will all, of course, be covered when I install the kick panel. Then you won't see anything from, you know, about here back. So that wire there won't show. But anyway, yeah, so that is now wired into, focus, that is now wired into the battery, and there's an inline fuse back in here somewhere. And so yeah, now it's getting all its power directly from the battery. The cool thing is that if you've been watching the channel, you know that one of the reasons the car came in this time was that his radio had, you know, essentially like locked up and wouldn't turn off or anything. And it seems like that drained the battery. And so before the tech support at RetroSound and I discussed the amplifier, he said that the best way to fix what he thought was probably caused due to like a low power event, the radio locking up like that, was to install the radio with a relay where it's getting, you know, power like more directly from the battery or whatever on the key on side. So I had actually bought a relay and was planning to do that, but then when I started reading the instructions for the amplifier here, and the way, again, this thing plugs in here, is that basically now all the power for the stereo is actually coming through the amplifier, through this giant yellow wire that you see here. So the radio is no longer going directly to the fuse box. So before there was still yellow, there was a yellow wire that went to the, let's see, yellow wire is always constant 12 volts. And then there was a red wire that was key on 12 volts. So both of those basically now just connect to the harness for the amp. And then the amp goes onto the other side of those plugs. And so anyway, but this thing gets its main power, which again is this fat yellow constant 12 volt one here. That gets that directly from the battery. So that should eliminate any need. And in fact, it wouldn't actually make sense because there would be nowhere to really put a relay now, because again, this amp is basically acting as the relay essentially for the head unit. So very cool actually. And one less thing I needed to install, kind of keep the installation clean. So crap ton of wires, of course, but they're, you know, long enough and stuff like that that I was able to route them relatively neatly here. And this will all be covered anyway by the trunk liner and then the wiring cover across here with the Van Halen graphic on it. So that is pretty much that. Just gotta put those covers back in. There's a procedure in the manual for how you set the gains on the amplifier. I went through and did that, and yeah, sounds great. Turned it up loud enough to like pretty much hurt my ears, and it still sounded very clear. So very happy with it, and I think the owner is also going to be very happy with it. So that's what I did. So Santiago is still working on installing the upholstery in the green bus, so I'm not going to show you that. I'll just wait now until it's done. And then Rene actually has started doing metalwork on the white 67 Beetle, so I will show you guys that maybe on Monday or something. I'll give you guys an update on the white 67 Beetle. But yeah, that one is pretty much now starting its metalwork phase, and it had a decent amount of rust on it. Nothing like the green, formerly known as Krusty Carmen, the Ghia, that beauty sitting right back there. Not that bad, but it still has a fair amount, and more so than cars that usually come into our shop for sure. But yeah, Rene, he just like dove right in now that the orange one is like basically done with paint. And so yeah, he's starting on that. And then we have another Ghia, let's see, 72 coming in probably like a week from today. So yeah, we're gonna be full of Ghias here. And then we have another Ghia coming into 60 that the owner is going to do the paint and body separate. So he wants to bring it in. We'll separate the body and chassis, and then he'll take the body and have his buddy or whatever do paint and body, and then we'll do the chassis. And then when those things are done, we'll build his car for him. So yeah, I don't know how all of a sudden we're going to end up with like 4 or 5. I don't even know how many gears. There's another gear, another 68 that might be coming in, which by the way is about equally rusty as that one. So we'll see, guys. We might end up with like 5 gears in here at once, maybe 6. Who knows? Because I just got contacted by someone else about a gear or possibly multiple gears. So yeah, we'll see. We may be full of gears here in the not too distant future. Kind of fun. All right, guys. Well, that is it for me for today. I'm gonna go home and do my paperwork and then try and enjoy the rest of my weekend. So hope everyone's weekend is going well, and I will see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching. Bye.